What is going on, friends? This is Matt Carter, that YouTube realtor, and thanks for joining me. I'm going to be talking about the changes that we are seeing coming to the real estate profession in the next year or so. There was an announcement that happened this past week or so that announced some of the changes. So I'm going to go over what those changes are, what we know right now is going to happen, and kind of my take and my opinion on what is going on. So before we get right into it, if you can take a quick second, like this video, subscribe to my content and my channel for my videos that come up every week. And now we'll get right into it. So first thing that we see coming down the pipeline, is the first one on the list that has been addressed to us, is that our current legislation, which is under the Real Estate Business Brokers Act, is being renamed to the Trust in Real Estate Services Act. Within this act, what we're going to see is new and updated code of ethics for all of the registrants and real estate professionals towards the consumers, both clients and self-represented people that we are acting for. So off the bat, we're just seeing a renaming of the legislation, which is probably a more fitting name for what it actually is and what it all means to us and what we have to follow. So ultimately, what we're looking at is a change in the code of ethics and what is actually required for our services towards consumers, which I think is a fantastic thing. There is a bad rap in our industry. A few bad apples spoils the bunch, and it is real estate is the best indication and the best industry to kind of prove this point and to kind of highlight it, in that we have a few bad realtors that get into the business, try to take advantage of some people, do some shady dealings, where the majority of us, the vast majority of us, are actually trying to do good, help our clients, and look out for their best interests. There are also a ton of common practices that happen these days that actually aren't compliant with the legislation. So hopefully with the changes in this and some other changes that I'm going to be talking about coming down the pipeline, this will help more registrants be more compliant with these rules and what's actually supposed to be done and handled in our industry. The next change coming is new options for interactions with registrants or real estate professionals. So there are two options if you are looking to work with a realtor. One, you can work as a client, and two, you can work as a customer, but they're going to be switching that over to be called self-represented. And now being a customer wouldn't be an option anymore. Basically, all this is just a changing of wording and is more indicative of what it actually means. And if you're not familiar with the two forms of representation with registrants, with real estate professionals, being a client is what most people are probably familiar with. They hire an agent to come in, whether it's buy or sell a home, and they act on their behalf to negotiate the deal, list their home, search for homes, whatever, what may have you, the large scope of practice. But as a client, basically the difference between a client and a customer, or what will then become self-represented, is a client we can provide advice to and our suggestions for whatever the situation may be, whether it's pricing on a home, whether it's comparative market analysis and comparable homes if they're looking to purchase, or if you're a customer, or what's going to be called self-represented, we can only provide information. We can't provide you any advice in terms of sale price, offer price. We can give you recent sales data, but we can't give you any other of our advice and expertise around any of that information we are providing to you. Next up on what's changing is there's going to be a new customer information guide, and basically what this is a package for both buyers and sellers is going to be distributed and available to the public so that you have more information at your disposal before going out and working with a realtor. Currently, I don't have any further details on this, but I think it's a fantastic thing that's going to be coming out. This is primarily why I have this channel and provide this type of information on all my videos on my channel, is because the general public isn't educated on these topics, both on the buying and selling side of things. It's one of the biggest and largest financial decisions you're going to make in your lifetime, and you're maybe going to do it a couple times in your life. So knowing as much information as possible and going in as well prepared is going to be extremely beneficial for you. I'm here absolutely to guide you and inform you of what you don't know, but if you have a strong background and a strong foundation of how the processes work, what's involved in everything going forward, then it makes the process a whole lot smoother and more beneficial, easier for you, less stressful. There's just a variety of different benefits for you for understanding the ins and outs of the real estate processes. The next up, and the one you've probably heard a ton about in the news recently, it's the one that's been covered the most, is giving sellers the option to have open or closed offers during the offer process when they're selling their home. So basically what this means is currently we have a closed bidding system where if there are multiple offers on a home, if there are any offers on a home, it's submitted to the seller's agent and to the seller to review, and the details of that offer cannot be disclosed to anybody else that is potentially offering on that property or any other parties around. So what this gives you the option for is either continuing to use the same process that we have been in the closed bidding style, or having an open bidding process where if you receive multiple offers, you can disclose the details of those offers, no personal information, anything like that, but information such as offer price, deposit size, closing dates, things of that nature, any conditions that may be in there. So just fully transmit an open bidding process on the home. So generally speaking, a closed bidding process is seen to be advantageous for the seller. Buyers don't know what they're up against, so they can't adjust their offers accordingly. And the winning offer may end up paying far more than they necessarily needed to in order to edge out the second best offer. On the flip side, if you're the open concept bidding style would be more advantageous for the buyer because you'd be able to see what you're up against. You could just edge out the competition and get the home for just more than enough and just enough for what you need to pay to obtain and get a winning offer. So I think this is an interesting addition to our system and giving the seller the option at least to choose which style they want. I think more people are still going to opt for the closed style bidding because it has led to these crazy prices and people bidding, $150,000 over asking price, but that may change down the line. But on the flip side consideration of this, if you look at it in the open setting and you know the contents of everybody else's offers, we could just see an overall, everybody just keeps one-upping each other and eventually getting to that price anyways, maybe that $100,000 over. So on average, we may see it lead to the exact same thing in the real estate world and housing prices increasing because maybe we won't get somebody offering $150,000 over the next highest bid, but the average price of those offers may increase overall, leading to just overall increases in average price home altogether. But it's an interesting thing we're gonna have to take a look at. Some more data on this would definitely be interesting, but I know a lot of people are advocating for their sellers, if they did have the option, to probably keep it closed still because it's seen as more advantageous, but definitely interesting to see what's gonna happen down the line. Also, something to note is the federal government has been talking about banning blind bidding altogether. This is an interesting topic as well because, as we can see, all these things that have come down the pipeline in terms of these changes are at the provincial level, and each province governs their own real estate boards and procedures on that provincial level and not a federal level. So it's be very interesting to see how the federal government is going to do this broad sweeping no blind bidding anymore. But again, one of those things we're going to have to just wait and see how it shakes out. So, and finally, the last thing on the list of changes coming down the pipeline is strengthening RECO's power in order to increase or enhance professionalism in our industry. So major points from this, they're talking about RECO is going to have stronger disciplinary actions for registrants that do have infractions against them, more transparency so that general public and consumers can look up registrants and find their disciplinary history if there is any, as well as broadening the scope of how they can go about looking into disciplinary and infractions or complaints. So currently right now, RECO only investigates transactions aside from random audits. They only investigate transactions on a complaint basis. So if a consumer has a complaint, they can file it to RECO. RECO will then down the line investigate that transaction and see what went wrong, if anything. What they're talking about doing is, even if a complaint comes down for a certain individual, they can now investigate the other side of the transaction as well. So if there's a complaint against the selling agent, they can then also look at the buying agent side of things and see if they had any infractions against them during that transaction as well. So again, I think this is awesome. I want there to be harsher punishments. I want there to be more stringent action and a closer eye on our professionals in the industry. This is going to lead to higher professionalism and overall more trust in our industry, both among registrants and agents between each other, but as well as between our agents and the general public as well, to increase our overall look. And lastly, all these changes are going to come into effect April 1st next year, 2023. So we still do have about a year to kind of understand all the ins and outs once we get more details on this specific legislation, and in order for real estate professionals to make any adjustments that may need to happen, whether it's the bidding style or whatever other issues or changes there may be coming down the pipeline. So overall, I think this is a fantastic thing to be happening. A lot of changes are good. It's updating our codes of ethics and our standards to today's levels, making our industry far more transparent, which I think is always a great thing. Understanding exactly what is going on our side of things is essential. Like I said, just the education behind everything is so crucial. So overall, I'm very happy to see these changes. I'm very excited to see the specifics of these once they come out. And once they do, I'll make sure to keep everybody posted, go into those in detail and go over each line. But until that happens, thanks for joining me today. If you found any value in this content, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, please pass this along to anybody else you think would find value as well. So until my next video, they come out every single week. Make sure you stay tuned. Take care until then.